It was the other big showdown of the election, Donald Trump versus Megyn Kelly. After months of battling with the now president-elect, she's revealing new details of their rocky relationship. And she's also opening up about her claims of sexual harassment as her star was rising at Fox News. Here's my Nightline co-anchor, Dan Harris.
He was so very focused on me that I became the story, and you never want to be the story when you're a news person. You want to be covering the story.
It was one of the most talked about moments of the presidential campaign. Megyn Kelly versus then candidate Donald Trump.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals.
The Fox News anchor and host of the Kelly File found herself in the middle of a very public battle.
What I say is what I say. And honestly, Megyn, if you don't like it, I'm sorry.
A torrent of insults followed, Trump calling Kelly a bimbo, unprofessional, and crazy.
You know, you could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever. I was referring to nose, ears. They're very common statements, and only a deviant would think of what people said.
Now, Trump is president-elect, and Megyn Kelly is speaking out about that time in her life. In her new book, Settle for More, she sat down with my colleague, ABC News chief anchor, George Stephanopoulos.
There's no question that Donald Trump is thin-skinned, and he can be mean-spirited. He can be vindictive. But my own experience with him proves that he's able to let things go if he so chooses, right? He came after me like a dog with a bone for 9 months. But finally, when I went to see him at Trump Tower, and believe me, I was not conciliatory toward him, we got past it. I think he has a magnanimous piece of him. He has a charming piece to him as well. And while I think Trump doesn't like it when he feels attacked, if he feels like you're open-minded or at least neutral toward him, he becomes a bit more open-minded.
Kelly recounts just how intense her feud with Trump became, writing that online, angry, threatening messages were everywhere. I would spend many days of the coming months accompanied by security.
You also had a tough conversation with your daughter Yardley. She said she was afraid of him.
I had never revealed to her any of the things that Trump had done, President-elect Trump had done. But she is 5, and she hears things in this world. And one of the lowest points was when she came home and asked me what a bimbo was.
Kelly and Trump eventually buried the hatchet during a meeting at Trump Tower.
What did you say? What did you do?
So the actual meeting was off the record, so I don't want to get into the specific content, but I went over there, I walked in, and he gave me a nice greeting. He hugged me.
He hugged you?
Yes, which
How did you accept that?
Well, I talk about it in the book that it was bizarre, right, to be hugging this man who had tried to torment me for 9 months and who had endangered my security. But I accepted it for the gesture it was, which I think was a goodwill gesture to try to say, if not, I'm sorry, then let's move on.
Kelly now weighing in on one of Trump's most controversial moves since winning the election, the appointment of Steve Bannon as senior strategist and counsel to the president. Bannon, formerly head of the website Breitbart, has been criticized for the racist, misogynist, and white nationalist views espoused on the website, with headlines like "Birth control makes women unattractive and crazy," and "Hoisted high and proud, the Confederate flag proclaims a glorious heritage." While former Republican National Committee Chairman Reince Priebus will be chief of staff, Kelly says Bannon may wield the real power.
I think Steve Bannon, though he is a controversial figure, has advised Donald Trump very well. You remember Trump's campaign was really flailing until Bannon came in, a guy who doesn't run political campaigns, but who completely understands these working-class Americans who have had it with Washington and the so-called
But what do you
establishment.
say to those critics who say this is bringing a white supremacist into the White House?
I don't know that there's evidence of that. I mean, I think people need to be...
headlines?
The Breitbart headlines, his defenders, I mean, they're absolutely controversial. But what his defenders say is he's not responsible for every single headline that went up on Breitbart while he was the executive chairman, and that website is known for being provocative. Now, it definitely appeals to a segment of the so-called alt-right, which includes some white supremacists. But I don't know that you could tar the entire team with that brush. I'm Megyn Kelly. The news breaking just a short time ago.
During her 12 years at Fox News, Megyn Kelly has become one of the network's most prominent and popular anchors.
I'll ask the question and you're not answering. Just tell me how is it fair?
She was groomed by the powerful former Fox News chairman, Roger Ailes. This year, when her former colleague Gretchen Carlson filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against Ailes, Kelly came forward to say that she, too, had been a victim of Ailes.
I had attributed it to he was interested in me. He was having a marital difficulty. Perhaps he was just interested in having an extramarital affair. And I didn't know.
And he was explicit about that?
As explicit as you could be. I mean, it was very on the nose. And then it culminated in a physical attempt to be with me, which I rejected in his office. And then I contacted a lawyer. He tried to kiss me 3 times. So I rejected that. And when I rejected that, he asked me when my contract was up. As soon as I left his office, I called a lawyer, and I did bring the matter to a supervisor at Fox News.
Years ago.
Years ago when it happened to me.
In a statement released through his attorneys, Ailes saying, "I categorically deny the allegations Megyn Kelly makes about me. I worked tirelessly to promote and advance her career," as Megyn herself admitted to Charlie Rose. Watch that interview and then decide for yourself. My attorneys have restricted me from commenting further, so suffice it to say that no good deed goes unpunished.
I really care about Roger, and he's been nothing but good to me, and he's been very loyal, and he's had my back.
That interview with Charlie Rose happened in October of 2015. In it, Kelly had nothing but high praise for her former boss.
So how do you square that with what you're writing now?
Well, both things can be true. I mean, a woman can be harassed and then go on to have a good working relationship with the man harassing her. And that is what happened in my case. We went on to have a healthy working relationship. And what he said about promoting me and having my back over the next several years is true. And it was one of the reasons why even I found it hard to believe that he was a serial harasser, George, when the lawsuit broke and then women started coming forward anonymously.
So did any part of you think, looking back, he should have come out earlier publicly?
Listen, it's hard to say no to that because I now know the number of women who were targeted, and it's disturbing. But realistically, that would have been a suicide mission for me in my career because I'd been at the company for 12 months when he was doing this to me. I wasn't Megyn Kelly of today. I had no power.
If Gretchen Carlson hadn't sued, would Roger Ailes still be the chairman of Fox News?
I think so. I think so.
Megyn Kelly's contract at Fox News is up next year. Her next move has everyone guessing.
Can you stay at Fox after all this?
Oh, sure. I mean, I can easily stay at Fox. I can go, hopefully, anywhere I want. I don't think anything that's happened this past year has limited that.
So do you want to stay?
Well, I'm figuring that out. You know,
Okay.
as much as I love my job, I love those 3 little lives that my husband and I have brought into the world. And, I mean, this is my philosophy that I need to settle for more. So I'm going to do that.
For Nightline, this is Dan Harris.